All right, for this problem we have sine squared theta equals 2 cosine theta plus 2. So here we have a sine squared and a cosine. So in order to be able to factor this, we want to get rid of this sine squared and make everything cosine. And the reason we're replacing the sine squared is because we have an identity that tells us that sine squared is equal to 1 minus cosine squared. So it's really easy to replace this sine squared with something that only has cosine in it. So we have 1 minus cosine squared equals 2 times cosine theta plus 2. And now we have a cosine squared and a cosine. That tells us that we're going to need to factor this. So let's get everything onto one side of the equation and leave the other side of the equation equal to 0. So let's move everything to this side. So let's subtract 2 cosine theta from both sides. And so we get negative cosine squared theta minus 2 cosine theta. We have a 1 out here too, is equal to 2. Okay, now let's subtract 2 from both sides. So this is going to be negative cosine squared theta minus 2 cosine theta. 1 minus 2 is negative 1 is equal to 0. All right, now everything's negative. Let's make everything positive by just multiplying the whole thing, both sides of the equation, by negative 1. So we get cosine squared plus 2 cosine theta plus 1 is equal to 0. Now we should be able to factor this. So to make cosine squared, we need a cosine and a cosine. And to make 1, we need 1 and 1. And if we add them both, cosine times 1 is cosine, 1 times cosine is cosine. Add those together, we get the 2 cosine squared. So this is this factored. Now notice that both of these factors are the same. So we can just set one of them equal to 0. And solve from there. So if cosine theta plus 1 equals 0, cosine theta is equal to negative 1. And now we look on our unit circle to see where cosine theta is equal to negative 1. So cosine is negative 1 here at pi. So our answer is going to be that theta is equal to pi. That's the only, just one answer on this one.